Best career best in Formula One for Robert Kubica in 4th there. The two Renaults have been very competitive all weekend, and they fancy having a bit of a go at the BMW today. And you can see there Fernando Alonso down in 10th place, Lewis Hamilton's closest championship challenger. But gearbox problems yesterday meant that Alonso took no part in the final part of qualifying, and that's why he's 10th on the grid. Ralf Schumacher, his last Formula One victory was right here in Magny-Cours back in 2003. Seems a long time ago, doesn't it, that he last won a race. Jenson Button there. Honda 2 have brought an updated car here that's slightly better in qualifying, but Jenson believes will be considerably better in the race. He reckons it'll be about half a minute quicker with this car than he would have been with the car they were running before this weekend. David Coulthard too had gearbox problems.
And we saw the most bizarre accident on the grid here yesterday in GP2, where the two front runners pointed their cars at each other to try and beat each other down to the first corner, and could suddenly be coming very quickly back at the McLaren team. And as we said in the track guide, that Ferrari looks a different animal altogether, doesn't it, from what they took to North America.
With Alonso down in 10th on the grid, and it looks almost certain that Lewis Hamilton will go there as the championship leader, although a lot can happen in the next hour and a half. But for sure, the Ferrari is going to be very quick next week at Silverstone. That's Adrian Sutil's car. It's been pushed off the grid, and they'll be strapping him into the spare car at the moment.
Just spoke to Kees van der Grin from Bridgestone on the grid, and said, well, the Optimum, as you can see them going through that dust they've laid.
Anyway, he's now on the grid. When the 5 lights go out, the French Grand Prix will be underway. Massa on the left, Hamilton on the right, and it's go! Looks like a good start for Massa. Hamilton goes across to try and cover Raikkonen, who's got round him. Raikkonen is up into 2nd place already. Kubica is in 4th place. He got away where he started, but Hamilton has lost a place off the grid, and look at how aggressive Alonso is being around the outside. It looks like he's making up places. Nico Rosberg being aggressive as well. A cracking start though by the two Ferraris, and their 3 abreast down the back straight. Here comes Alonso in the run-up to the Adelaide hairpin.
And he just manages, oh, there's an accident in front of him. He's gone around, he's been clipped from the left-hand side. Has that done any damage as he went around that Renault? Did it damage the car of Alonso? I think it might have been a BMW he was up against. He needed to clear Jarno Trulli. He didn't quite manage to do so. So a bad start for Hamilton too. There is Alonso. His car, at least all 4 wheels, pointing in the same direction at the moment.
Well, we've lost Tonio Liuzzi, who's gone off at turn 2. Liuzzi, who started 17th on the grid. Massa leads. Raikkonen is 2nd. Hamilton 3rd. Kubica is 4th. 5th is Fisichella. Kovalainen has lost some ground. There's Jenson Button.
Good start for Button then.
6th, 7th Rosberg, 8th Alonso, 9th Button, and 10th Barrichello. As here comes Alonso attacking Rosberg.
Alonso using all sorts of unorthodox lines, trying to, as we said earlier, trying to get those places early in the Grand Prix. He knows it's the best chance before the tyres settle into grading, before everybody gets comfortable with each other and knows their strengths and weaknesses. And those soft tyres will go through a graining phase. Alonso absolutely on the edge of their adhesion, and a long way back from Rosberg. It'll be quite an outbreaking manoeuvre he'll need down there, and he's too far behind.
Yeah, you can see the effect of losing some grip on that long right-hander, turn 3, and it set him up for a not particularly quick run down the straight. Kovalainen has just arrived beneath me in the pits after that contact into the Adelaide hairpin on the first lap. Shame for him. 2 good runs the last 2 races in Canada and the USA, a 5th place and a 4th place. Anthony Davidson has had to pit as well. Antonio Liuzzi, as I mentioned, is out of the race. So Massa at the front. Raikkonen has Hamilton all over him. Kubica is 4th, Fisichella 5th, Eichfeldt 6th, 7th is Rosberg, who's really trying to resist Fernando Alonso, who's currently got 1 World Championship point position in 8th, Button 9th, and Barrichello 10th. There goes Alonso up the inside of Rosberg, so he's now up to 7th. Let's hear from Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, Anthony Davidson out of the race, made contact at the first corner and has ripped off the whole left side of his side pod, so it's terminal for Davidson, unfortunately.
Well, that looks like Jarno Trulli, who's got some problems as well in the Toyota. He's getting out of the car. Whole front end missing there. Let's take another look at the start.
Ferrari's getting away very well on what is the racing line. Hamilton had to slot in, never mind worrying about Massa, was lucky to slot in behind Raikkonen. If we just look a little bit further down the field, let's see what's going on there. On board with Davidson, and it was into the first corner where he's hit Liuzzi. So Davidson, oh, and that's why he's lost his side pod. But you have to say, unfortunately, Anthony caused all of that. Did not allow, there's always a concertina down in the first corner. He triggered that incident and then collected Liuzzi as Liuzzi was busy sweeping up his own car, his own problem. So 2 cars out within 300 meters. And this is Kovalainen, who gets pushed from behind by the Toyota of Jarno Trulli. Alonso P7 at the moment. Massa's lead up to 2.2 seconds. We're on lap 5. Hamilton tucked up behind the other Ferrari of Raikkonen.
Alonso, little lock up there from Heidfeld. That should give Alonso his chance.
He'll have a chance down into Lice, surely, although he hasn't really got out of that corner as well as I expected. Now he's in the sweet spot, and what? Oh, beautifully done. Heidfeld, oh, he's gone deep, he should be able to, oh no, Heidfeld just came back and closed off the door. So Alonso went in, he really tried to overtake him twice there, passed him down the hill and then outbraked himself.
Alex Wurz has moved forward 4 places as well. He's in 14th. Takuma Sato, Scott Speed, Christian Albers and Adrian Sutil, the only cars still running at the moment. Well, it's clear from this that Heidfeld on the harder tyres is not dropping Alonso on the softer tyres. So Alonso getting good performance here. Just needs to get past him though. Their lap times in the high 117s, over a second a lap slower than the race leaders. Very much a presence in the behind the scenes at Ferrari, and Massa the one that's gaining the full benefit of it. Well, he's not been able to compete at the front, Felipe Massa, since the Spanish Grand Prix, which he won. They introduced a revised car at that point, and ever since then the performance, particularly in qualifying, was a bit off colour. It meant that McLaren were able to capitalise in Monte Carlo, Montreal and Indianapolis, but they've worked very, very hard behind the scenes in Maranello to come up with improvements for the car. They've certainly achieved that here. They're looking very strong here on lap 16. Hamilton will still have something to say about it though, in 3rd place. Alonso trying to make his way through the field and join in the battle at the front. He will be mindful of the fact that Hamilton looks like extending his championship lead over him here this afternoon, unless he can make serious inroads.
When Massa gets on pole with a good car, he just seems to step up another gear to a different class, doesn't he? I mean, just extraordinary in the way that he finds something extra. And it looks like McLaren who will be first to blink. Is this to get Alonso away from the gearbox of Heidfeld? But we think it's for Lewis, so bad news for McLaren. Not only are they about 8, 9 tenths slower at the moment than the Ferraris, but they're also going to be pitting first. So, in fact, it is Hamilton who pits first.
Well, this is going to take about 20 seconds out of his race. It's going to put him out somewhere around Fisichella. Sorry, I beg your pardon, somewhere around Button and Barrichello, between the two of them, when he comes back out again. Off he goes, Lewis Hamilton. That was the front jack cameraman Lee Hart there working for McLaren. Alonso in as well. Very fast turnaround by the McLaren team.
Right, well, this confirms it then. I mean, Alonso's out of the equation. He's already a pit stop behind on the track. And Hamilton then is in damage limitation mode today. He needs a 3rd place up on the podium. Hope Ferrari trip over something or have a fault of some kind, because Hamilton does not, it appear, have the speed to be anywhere close to the Ferraris.
And of course we'll get just an idea of how competitive the Ferraris really are when we see how late they come in for their pit stop. Hamilton made his pit stop then on lap 17. He's rejoined in 7th place.
Because by the regulations they're not allowed to go over 19,000 RPM, otherwise they'll get disqualified presumably, unless it's little blips on curbs and bumps. But if they're generally solidly over 19, as Massa pits from the lead.
2 laps after Hamilton, so there was no great difference in the fuel strategy. Ted Kravitz.
Yeah, and the stop going very well from the Ferrari boys. The front jackman just moves out of the way. It was quite a long fill though. I think it should still be a 3-stopper, but just a question on the McLarens, Martin. Very unusual that they would have stopped the same lap indeed.
Rosberg 6.7 seconds behind now, so that finally clears him. And Kimi then getting ready to stop.
Well, he's set the fastest lap of the race on his first lap in the lead. Here comes Alonso though on Fisichella. This is a pass for position. Former teammates at Renault last year and the year before. Fisichella takes the inside line, making Alonso go around the outside. But there is grip there for Alonso if he can get it. No, he can't. This is almost like a replay of Schumacher versus David Coulthard back in 2000. Absolutely fantastic racing, particularly down there at the Adelaide hairpin. The race leader, temporarily, Kimi Raikkonen, pits. Massa will retake the lead then. Or will he?
Yeah, he's got a long way to go out of that pit lane yet. Massa appears at 170 miles an hour. And Raikkonen solidly then in second place.
It's a Ferrari 1-2 here in Magny-Cours. It's been a happy hunting ground for them over the years. But Kubica in the BMW is running fourth. Fifth is Jenson Button, who has yet to make a pit stop and has just set his fastest lap of the race so far in the Honda. Then it's this battle, 6th and 7th, between Heidfeld and Alonso, with Giancarlo Fisichella, whom Alonso has recently passed in 8th.
Alonso on those harder tyres now after his first stop. Button is going extremely well. He's quick as well as up there in 5th. Obviously, as you say, out of position with pit stops. But Alonso, remember, he actually passed this car in front of him once earlier in the Grand Prix and then made a mistake and he went back through. Heidfeld went back through. And how much has that damaged his afternoon? He's now 32 seconds away from the leaders, Fernando Alonso.
And that will add up to quite a lot of time, best part of 25-30 seconds over a Grand Prix distance.
So why are these two Ferraris quicker this weekend? Well, there are various aerodynamic pieces on the car. They tested at Silverstone. Although they seem to be spinning off the track quite a lot there, they certainly found some performance gains. And Massa said, we sat the car on this track and it felt good as well. And what's that hanging off the back of... It's a bit of bunting or something, isn't it? Hanging off the back of the spiker. Albers, is that a bit of fuel rig?
I wonder. He had just come into the pits.
Yeah, it is. It's fuel rig. I think I can stand too close to that, my friend.
This is the pit stop. Away he goes. And you can't see it in the mirror, but behind us is a trail of very expensive silvery material. And there it is.
Oh, and he came around like a snake to bite him, look. And no, he's saying no, he's not ready to go. Wow. Presumably there's a there's a dead man's handle on the actual fuel rig. Somebody will have... Oh, nasty. Hopefully no injuries there with the mechanics. And that, of course, also means the fuel tank is open now, completely open with that stuck in there. And a quick radio call to park it ASAP.
It's quite a dangerous moment. It's a dangerous place to work, the pit lane. The GP2 race yesterday, one of the drivers hit a mechanic who was waiting to change the front tyre, lifted him right off his feet. Luckily the mechanic is okay, I'm delighted to tell you, but Raikkonen's closed in on him, but Hamilton is catching the pair of them. He's faster than the Ferraris at the moment by almost half a second a lap as Alonso goes down the side of Heidfeld, and that's not normally a passing place, but it is if your name is Fernando Alonso. Supreme aggression, and what a place to do it. He flew off the racetrack there twice during the free practice session. So there are the Ferraris at the front. They've just gone through quite a lot of traffic. Felipe Massa leading the race. Kimi Raikkonen second. Lewis Hamilton is pushing like mad at the moment. There's a big gaggle of traffic which involves Rubens Barrichello, Mark Webber, David Coulthard, Alex Wurz. 11th, 12th, 13th and 14th on the racetrack. And the Ferraris lost a reasonable amount of time going through them. About a second and a half a lap as they were passing through. Now Hamilton has to get through them as well. Massa leading Raikkonen by 1.5 seconds on lap 37. Hamilton just 6 seconds behind at the moment. It'll be very much a question of how much time he loses in traffic as to how it comes out afterwards. Kubica is still 4th for BMW, 5th Alonso, 6th Heidfeld, 7th Fisichella and 8th Rosberg. Jenson Button has made a stop as McLaren get ready for one of their two drivers. Jenson Button looking pretty racy here this afternoon. Which one of them is it?
It's got to be Lewis,
Hamilton.
really, hasn't it? With that amount of traffic. We know that he's just reduced the gap to 7.5 seconds now. So there's no point in making him go through that traffic, providing they can stop him and he gets out in clear air. So Hamilton then still on those harder tyres, so they're expecting to 3-stop him.
Yeah, he should come out around about his own teammate, Fernando Alonso, and Robert Kubica. There is Kubica in the BMW. He'll be behind him, but in front of Fernando Alonso. Or will he be behind him? He's very, very close. They're side by side. Kubica, whoa, unbelievable. Keeps his foot in it. Hamilton's going to try and get back down the straight. Can he get a toe and then outbrake him on the fresh tyres into the Adelaide hairpin? These two are good friends as well.
It's important to remember the championship, Lewis, but he's got the grippy line, he had the inside line, but it is Kubica who tries to double back. It's a drag race down to the Nürburgring chicane, and one which Hamilton aggressively defends, very aggressively defends, and maintains that position. But he really caught Kubica on the hop there. He thought he'd covered his base, thought he'd covered the line, and Hamilton saw the width of a McLaren and just a tiny fraction more.
It's been the story of the race, really. McLaren against BMW. Alonso struggling to get past Heidfeld, but on that occasion, Lewis Hamilton was razor sharp on the way out of the pits and was not, once he got his nose in front, there was nothing was going to stop him from holding that position. A very, very important moment that for Lewis Hamilton, who has now got a lot of clear racetrack in front of him with a new set of tyres to start setting about doing something here. The two Ferraris have lost time in traffic. They have yet to make their second stops. Of course, bear in mind that Hamilton will have a fairly heavy car now.
Look at this, Kubica thinks he's got it covered, and Lewis says, not enough, mate, I'm still coming down there. And just got it, and now Kubica's double back came underneath him, and Lewis having to move across the track. It wasn't as aggressive as it looked from the other camera angle. That's not in my view, not a problem at all. He went defensive and then took his line into the next one. Suddenly, it looked slightly more Formula 4 darting across the track style from the other camera angle, but that was absolutely fine.
Just look how he's leaning on it now. So Hamilton onto a three-stop strategy. Whether that was always the plan, we'll find out after the race. Certainly he was not carrying a huge amount of fuel early on. He had the option to do a two or a three-stop, but avoiding the traffic, McLaren decided to bring him in, and I think he's on a three-stopper now, so he'll probably have to make another stop later in the race. There's Fernando Alonso, who also was brought in by the McLaren team while we were watching that tremendous scrap between Hamilton and Kubica. They brought Alonso in as well.
This is a replay of Alonso. He'll do well to get that back on before the gravel. Oh, just. Because as soon as you get on that gravel, you're going for a trip right around the outside. And well done, because that was a big save.
So, as nothing really happened at the end of the race, it was Kimi Raikkonen who wins the French Grand Prix with a Ferrari 1-2. Felipe Massa finishes in second place, and Lewis Hamilton will come across the line and complete the podium.